What's going on, people? This is Shok, and obviously this is my long-awaited review for Metroid Dread. For those who may be new to my channel, this is the first video you've seen of me. Full transparency, I am a huge Metroid fan. It's actually my favorite video game franchise of all time. But, with that being said, I like to think of myself as an objective individual. People on this channel would say such. I would like to think that I'm able to keep my bias in check, and I'm able to call a strike, a ball. And if anything, me being a fan about something or passionate about something is actually going to make me more inclined to criticize it, because I'm the type of person where I want things to be better, right? If there were some glaring fundamental issues with this particular game, I would definitely want them to call. I would definitely want to call that out because I would want them to approve upon the next entry of the series. You see what I mean? So don't let me being a huge Metroid fan like scare you. I hope you guys are able to take this review, at face value for what it is, and you don't think that I'm just heaping praise on it just because I'm a Metroid fan. This is going to kind of be a review, but it's also going to be a little bit of an argument in the video, which is what my channel used to be really about. It was a really argumentative-based channel. I'm mostly retired is what I'm referring to. That's why I'm kind of speaking in past tense. But I'll still put up a video every now and then. But the first thing I kind of want to talk about, because I think it's the second best thing about this game, actually, and it also covers the controversy, is the level design. And honestly, the level/game design in this game is some of the best level design I have seen in a video game in the past decade of gaming. And I mean that. And I'm not just saying that, I'm going to explain exactly why. And if you haven't played the game, you'll see where I'm coming from once I explain to you the reasons why. So for those who may not have been paying attention or you're not on Twitter like that, basically and it's a minority of people, but basically there's a small group of people that are saying that Dread doesn't really show you where you need to go or what to do. There's no indicator for like hidden blocks or anything like that. So they're basically saying essentially that there are certain rooms in this game where it's up to random chance if you figure out what to do and how to progress. And that, honestly, I'm just gonna give my honest thoughts on that. I don't even think that's an opinion. I think that is a false statement. Actually, I know that is a false statement because it's simply not true. It is not true. And I'm just gonna go ahead and read my tweet off because I feel like I put it best on a tweet that I tweeted out about an hour ago, and I'm gonna pull it up here. But it reads, gamers over the year have gotten so used to getting their hands held that when a game like Dread comes out that doesn't insult our intelligence, we mistake respectful game design with quote-unquote archaic game design. Dread actively rewards players' intelligence and awareness, and that is painfully clear once you get past the spot you were stuck on. That is all very much intentional by the devs. People aren't used to being treated this way, so the few are mistaking it as something else. So essentially, this game does not treat you like a baby. This game treats you like you have played video games before. You see what I mean? And no offense to the people that may be struggling and getting stuck, because it makes sense. It's a Metroidvania game. That's going to happen. But the thing is that once you get past the part you may have been stuck in, you realize, wow, if I was really just paying attention, I could have gotten this immediately. Or once you get past something, you realize, oh, they actually had like 2 or 3 different things there that were kind of prodding me towards this spot, right? Towards this area of the room and things of that nature. And it's actually so masterfully done because I feel like Mercury Steam, that's the developer who made this game, I feel like they hit a sweet spot when it comes to, hinting at the gamers of what they need to do. Because like I've already expressed, they definitely don't hold your hand. No, they respect you. They're like, we're assuming you have played a video game before, right? But at the same time, they're not just leaving you like hanging high and dry, got you out in the wilderness to the wolves, right? Like, they give you a little bit. It's just not super on the nose, right? It's subtle enough that if you pay attention and slow down, you catch on to it. But it's not so obvious to the point where it's holding your hand and it's treating you like you're a child. And that is a perfect perfect sweet spot I feel like most developers are not able to nail. So I find it funny that when it comes to the level design and the map design in this game, I find it funny that that's one of the bigger controversies about the game, when the way I see it, it's one of the best things about the game. And there's so many developers out there that can take notes about how to do player guidance. This game has the perfect player guidance. Not too much, not too little. But just to get into more specifics, so people don't think I'm just talking out of my backside, there are things like enemy placement. Enemies will be placed in certain spots that will prompt you to shoot at them, that will reveal hidden blocks. Not to mention, I mean, that's besides the point, that when you first start the game, it tells you, hey, if you hit a room and it seems like it's a dead end, try shooting around to reveal hidden blocks, for one. But that aside, yeah, there's enemy placements that prompt you to do that. There's things like lighting. Like there's certain times where you'll break a wall or something, and once you're like kind of going through that passageway, you're like, oh, okay, I see. There's a light on top. There's like orange. There's like this window. There's like a window on top and a window on the bottom of this particular part in the ceiling, and there's another room above. And the ceiling is like sandwiched between two windows that have this like orange light coming out of it, right? And it's kind of like drawing the player's attention to that spot. Not to mention, the width of that ceiling or that wall is the exact width of breakable blocks, which is another hint that if you're paying attention, gamers should be able to catch on to. You see what I'm saying? There's things even like camera orientation. There's certain rooms where you'll notice the camera is a little shifted to the left. Like there's a little bit more space on the camera to the left than there normally is, or there's a little bit more to the right than it normally is. And every time that happens, it is intentional. It's not random. Anytime the camera is oriented like that, it's because there is something to the left or to the right that is breakable. There's something to be discovered there. You see what I mean? So if you've been playing video games for years, these are things that if you're paying attention, you definitely should be able to catch on to. Not to mention the mini map. You know, you'll hit a dead end. And by the way, guys, there are no dead ends in this game. There's either an item in the room or there's something breakable in the room that will lead you to another area. There are no useless rooms in this game. The things that come closest to being a useless room are just those like transitional tube areas that just kind of give you a cool visual when you're going from like one spot to another. But that's basically it. Those don't really even count as rooms, right? Those are just like little transitional little bridges to like show you, and they'll show you like the background or something, right? They'll have like a cool visual along with it. So even honestly, those aren't useless because at least they're giving you something, you know, to look at. They're trying to immerse you into that world type deal, right? But there are no dead ends in this room. It's not like you just enter a room and oh, there's nothing there. That doesn't happen in this game, right? So if you guys hear people talking about the level design and how it doesn't tell you anything, like, oh, it's almost like you have to just find out these things by random. None of it is random. It is 100% designed, crafted, intentional by the developers. And it's so smart because very few games reward player intellect in the way that Metroid Dread does. And because of that, I think it's some of the best level design I have seen, like I said, in the past decade. Not to mention, there are multiple ways to go about doing things a lot of times. There is a main route the game definitely prods you towards to just kind of go through. But there's also sequence breaking. And there's things where if you have a good mechanical mastery of the game, you can get to a spot earlier than you're normally intended to. But it's still intended by the developers that you're able to do that, right? Like, that stuff isn't really it's not accidental. You see what I mean? And we know for sure that this is, all these types of things are intended because there's even certain, like, different animations and different things you can do in boss fights that reward you for getting certain power-ups early. Power-ups that you really shouldn't be having during that boss fight. They have certain animations and, like, one-hit KO type things you can do on these bosses if you manage to use your skills and your awareness to sequence break. And it's so well crafted and smartly done. But I've already spent like 9 minutes talking about the level design, but that was like the main thing and the main controversy, so I just want to get that out the way. But I said that was the second best thing about this game. The first best thing about this game are the controls. so smooth. You really feel like you are controlling Samus Aran. She's fast, she's agile, she's butter. You have every type of mobility option you could possibly want in a game like this. The controls are responsive. Amazing. People who aren't Metroid fans have played this game, and I've seen them saying like, I went ahead and started another playthrough just so I could continue to feel the game, right? This game just feels great to just be playing. Even if you just want to boot it up and run around aimlessly, just doing bullcrap, just jumping around, it feels great to do. Nail the controls, butter smooth, amazing, godlike, no complaints. Samus does everything you want her to do. And you know when you're playing a video game, you're like, oh man, I wish I could do this. I wish I could crouch. I wish I could slide. I wish I could slide and shoot at the same time. I wish I could do this and this at the same time. Dread's one of those games where it leaves little to no desire for more control. Because you have all the control in the world you could possibly need. You know what I mean? So it's one of those games that leaves you wanting for nothing when it comes to the control that you have over the playable character. And again, that's kind of another rare thing that I've kind of been, noticing in this past decade of gaming. There's a couple games that do that really well, but for the most part, most games I play, I'm like, I wish I could do this or I wish I could do that. And Dread lets me do everything that I could possibly want or need to do within that game. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the music. This is going to be a shorter segment. The music isn't that memorable, and it's one of the weaker parts about the game. Now, don't be alarmed when I say that. I'm not saying that the music is bad. When I'm saying it's weaker, I'm saying it's weaker only in terms of memorability. When I finished the game, I started watching like speed runs of it because I love watching speed runs and stuff like that. And upon like watching the game again, I realized that the soundtrack is actually really good. The thing is that it's more of atmospheric music rather than music that's more so at the forefront. That's all, kind of like grand and all that. It's more like subtle, kind of in the background, matching the mood of your environment type deal. So I noticed that like when you're in the game, the music is great because it really gives you a sense for the area that you're in. It's just that when you're not playing the game, because you can't recall most of the tracks, you think the soundtrack is like mediocre or whatever, but no, it's just more so the fact that it has an ambient. That's the word. The soundtrack is ambient, therefore it's not going to be quite as memorable as games that have more or less ambient soundtracks, music within them. You know what I mean? But the music is damn good. And if you guys thought the same thing I did, go back and play the game or watch a playthrough of the game and focus on the music, and you'll realize that the music is actually really good. It's just not things like, a lot of the music that we had in like Super Metroid, Brent Stardust and stuff like that, or Metroid Prime 3 Run This theme. It's not like melodies like that, like something that'll be in your head. It's more so just atmospheric, just matching the mood, getting the tone of the area down type deal, and I love that. The visuals. It's the Switch, so there are definitely some flat textures here and there, but I mean, overall, the game really does look great, and of course, that's mostly because of the art direction. But Metroid always has good art direction outside of Other M. But otherwise, there's no surprises there. The game honestly looks really nice. It looks so crisp. Damn good looking game. Damn good looking game. Story-wise, kind of like how I said with the game design and how Mercury's theme kind of struck this gold balance between directing the player, but also respecting them enough, right? Not insulting their intelligence. I think that the story was also perfectly done as well, because in other Metroid games, and like particularly in Metroid Prime, you have to do like a lot of side stuff to kind of get the main gist of the story. You have to like scan things and like look for things to kind of get more of the Metroid lore. With Metroid Dread, it's presented to you more directly, but it's still not all up in your face every 5 minutes, right? When a cutscene happens in Dread, that's not like a quick time event or something like that during a boss fight, right? When a cutscene is actually happening, they definitely, it's definitely like story, but it doesn't last forever, and there's not too many of those instances, which in my opinion is a good thing. Right? Because when I'm playing a video game, for me, I want to be playing the game 99% of the time as opposed to simply watching it. Of course, for certain genres, that type of ratio is going to be different, like let's say an RPG or whatever. But I think Metroid has that perfect balance of gameplay progression and then, story time. It has a really good pacing when it comes to that. And without getting into spoilers, this story is so incredibly satisfying if you're a Metroid fan. If you're a first timer to the series, I'm really not sure how much you would enjoy the story. I mean, I think you will generally enjoy it, but I don't think you would find it incredible or amazing unless you kind of already have all that backstory and knowledge of Metroid, not to mention just the whole nature of us waiting like what, 17, 19 years for this game to even finally come out and finish the mainline story to begin with. But it was definitely a satisfactory conclusion to the 2D Metroid storyline. I could not have asked for a better conclusion. I really feel that way. And for the game overall, I don't think I could have asked for a better game. Um, and that's really a testament to just how good this game is, right? Because think about it, guys. When a sequel takes a long time, especially when it's like the last one to conclude a story arc or a saga in a series, the longer it takes to come out, the harder it's going to be for it to appease the fans, right? So for this game to take as long, nearly 2 decades to come out, for it to take as long as it took to come out, and for all of the Metroid fans to be absolutely in love with it, that tells you something. That is a testament to just how well this game was crafted. Because it is faithful to Metroid, but it also incorporates a lot of modern gaming, I guess you'd call it quality of life type things, right? Like with things with the controls and things of that nature. They expanded upon the counter system that was first introduced in Metroid Samus Returns. And say what you will about Other M, that's the black sheep of Metroid, but at least that black sheep for this series actually contributed to something, because Mercury's team definitely looked at Other M and they're like, yeah, we're definitely going to represent Samus in that way. And that's one thing I do appreciate about Other M. Side note, I like how they finally showed just how strong Samus actually is, because you're not really going to get that feeling playing the Prime games and playing the original 2D Metroid games. You know what I mean? So I like that they kind of took that page out of Other M's book, because that's the thing Other M did the best. And that was the action and the accurate action portrayal of Samus. And Mercury's theme makes Samus such a satisfying, I hate using this word because it's overused, but they made her such a satisfying badass in this game, and I love it. Now, with that being said, Kotaku, this directed towards Kotaku, Kotaku did an article talking about you don't have to make Samus a robot to make her badass, which I don't know why they wrote that article, because it's almost as if they didn't play the game. But that's another thing Mercury's theme did really well. They still are able to show emotion in Samus through her body language and the way that she reacts and responds to things. You know what I mean? And sometimes showing emotion in a character that's mostly silent is really hard to convey, but I think Mercury's theme did a really good job with that. Um, I don't really want to get into spoilers, just in case like maybe this video convinces someone to buy the game. But there are certain ways that Samus treats certain characters. You know what I mean? And for certain enemies, she treats them like with some alertness, like, oh, I'm on guard. And then there's other enemies where she's like, whatever, dude, right? So like through her body language, you know what I mean? So I think they did a really good job of capturing the mostly silent protagonist, capturing that archetype, but still being able to let them show how they feel about things through simply their body language. And of course, there's sometimes where they show her eyes through the visor of her like reacting and responding to things. So there's that as well. But there's other subtle ways that they do it as well. And speaking of her body language and stuff, that's something I forgot. That's another just S-class thing about this game. The animations. The animation work inside and outside of gameplay are so well done. As we all know, there's an actual living Chozo in this game that Samus interacts with for the first time. That's not a spoiler. That was kind of like in the reveal trailer at E3. But this, the Chozo are like alien bird people, right? He's a bird. but the way they animated this like tall bird alien race creature talking, like they animated him so well to where you could really see the emotions from this dude who has a beak speaking. You know what I mean? But yeah, like they this game, like I said, inside and outside of gameplay, the quick time events, the cutscenes, the gameplay itself, the animation is so fluid, it's so clean, masterful animation work. 10 out of 10. Godlike, amazing. Um Act 3 in this game, absolutely top notch, top tier. And that's the thing about this game. Everything is just so well done. Everything is polished. Everything they took time on. It was well crafted. Everything comes together and is cohesive. Everything is crafted. Everything that exists within the game and where it's placed, when it's placed, is on purpose and for a reason. And that overall makes for an incredibly satisfying experience. Like I said earlier, this game definitely does have like a main route that it kind of pushes you towards, because it'll sometimes kind of like lock you out of other areas to try to get you to go a certain way, and then after you get a power up, there's like teleporters that you'll usually take afterwards, or a elevator, or that tram system that'll take you to the next area. And then there's like somewhere in the next area where you have to use that new power up that you got. Or sometimes it'll take you to a previous area and it'll drop you off in a spot where there's a door that you're now supposed to open now that you have that power up. So that kind of confuses me, with the whole level and game design thing that people have been saying. It kind of confuses me how some people have been saying that this game is like too linear, but then they also say they don't know where to go, because if the game is super linear, then you know exactly where to go, because you only have one way to go, right? But like I also mentioned earlier, this game has sequence breaking, and if you have enough mechanical skill, you can kind of make your own routes, get to certain power-ups early, which then allows you to access other power-ups or other areas early, and just makes for an overall satisfying experience, because like I said towards the beginning of this review, this game really truly does reward your knowledge. It rewards your level of awareness, and it rewards your level of skill. And to me, that is one of the most satisfying things a video game can do. Don't treat me like I'm stupid. Give me some subtle hints. Give me some direction. Give me tools, and let me find out how to use my tools to accomplish certain things. I love it when games allow me to do that, and this game allows you to do that in spades. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You don't have to sequence break. You don't have to explore all the maps in a more loose order, but it's there if you want it. You see what I mean? But that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this game, guys. As far as the things that bothered me, there's too many pitfall blocks. Some of the pitfall block stuff was a little iffy. I really hated that in this game. And I don't know if it's really a flaw, because I already talked about it earlier, but like the music is a little forgettable, but while you're playing, you don't really realize it's there, but it's there and it's perfect and actually sets the mood, but it's something you don't really realize until after the fact type deal. You know what I mean? But that's it for this video, y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on Metroid Dread and how much you guys enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Peace.